Hi everyone, welcome to Heal and Be episode 18. It's so good to be back. As you can tell, I'm very happy. Today's episode is about breaking the vegan code. Before we go into this, it is a blog that I wrote a couple weeks ago. You can find it on my website, which is angelicguidance.life. And just a few announcers before I go into the actual podcast. I will put everything down below for the links, but on Sundays I do a live channeling on Instagram and my page on Facebook, which is again angelicguidance.live. The same name is for Instagram. So it's on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And it's just a way to let go with gratitude the week that we had just passed and welcome in the new one. And then on Mondays, this is when the podcast comes through, which there's a small activation for whatever is needed at the moment for people that are watching and replays and things like that. And on Wednesdays, the Awakening Support Group restarts again because of the holidays. There was a pause for it, and I wasn't transitioning to moving to a new place, this is an awesome place that we're at this moment in time. And that is 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I'll just put the links down below. Yes. So, my name is Rukmani Kaur. I am a divine channeler, a spiritual teacher, a guide for awakening, and as well as twin flame journey, as I've been on my own, experiencing all these things for years now. So the very first thing I want to say that, of course, this is my experience. What I'm about to share with you is based on, yes, my experience and my own perception, my own perception of reality, of what I feel. And I invite you to have an open mind and an open heart for this, because this is a very tricky topic. And even when I was writing this blog, I was like, how can I? But again, it was a fear of me in trying to share something so deeply in my system that had broken. And like I said, it's my reality. This is how I'm perceiving life. And if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. If it doesn't, it's okay too. It's just, like I said, I invite you to have an open heart and an open mind for this. Always welcoming to write a comment about it, but let's try to keep this in a very nice, beautiful, and respectful container. So, the vegan code. I used to call myself a vegan. I don't really say that, even though sometimes it still comes up, just because it's something I was used to say all the time. Oh, I'm a vegan, whatever. Do you have any vegan options? Something so normal, so common. And I didn't realize how deep this code was in my system. And there's one thing I love to do, one thing that it's quite fun for me to do, and that is to break codes in my system, And of course, it's also perhaps opening up more codes in a sense that help me in my path of consciousness, if I can build it, go into a space to create the conditions in which something can be brought into manifestation in this reality. But then there's also the codes, or you can call them limited belief systems, that I observe in my system. And I'm like, you're done, you serve your purpose, and I'm completely grateful for you, but it's time to move on, man. Bye-bye. So let me share how this came about. I became plant-based in 2016 as soon as I started my first Kundalini Yoga teacher training. It was something that my system was was already heading towards to. But I was scared because I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, but we have a farm in the mountains of Lima. So we go to the farm, and my grandma raised. English is my third language. She raised cows, chickens, cuis. We call them cuis, guinea pigs. We have tons of things, probably even rabbit. And we ate them, pigs. So it was a normality because, when you're a farmer and you live there most of the days of the year, that's what you do, that's what we did. So for me, it was normal, just eating whatever. Even the insides of the cow is such a normal thing to eat in Peru, perhaps even in all third world countries, who knows? But I'm talking about my own experience. But then once I started into this path of consciousness, and especially of meditating and yoga, I didn't just go into like, ooh, let me put just one tiny toe into this door. I went like, and that's something that I do. If something resonates so deeply with me, and I sense the goodness that my system is feeling, that I just go straight into it. So once I started practicing yoga and meditation, especially way more meditation, I was meditating constantly in the morning, afternoon, at night. And it was on the first month or so of my first Kundalini yoga teacher training that my system was like, no, I'm done. So it's not that I changed my eating habits because of animals, because of the earth, or whatever the farming situation. My system changed. It's in a sense upgraded. This is how I like to call it. It upgraded. So there was no other option. I just went into, okay, we're done. We're done eating this. Cool, thanks. So I had to, in a sense, restart to eat things because I didn't know how to eat plant-based. But I loved it. My system loved it. And never once have I missed meat or whatever else, I was really big into like a wine night with my best friends, especially with Ali and Matt, and have wine, cheese, crackers, meats, all that kind of thing. Like I love that thing. But then, I just got used to having vegan cheese, which some people might say it's not the same thing, but whatever, it worked, and it still works. So I had no idea about anything that happens to the animals, animal farming, and cutting down the rainforest just to create more space in order to grow more veggies and things like that. I didn't know, and part of me didn't want to know. I'm not one of those people that watches all these horrible things that happen in the world because it hurts. It hurts, and no. I like to keep my bubble very clean. Of course, I know that there's a lot of shit that happens in the world. I'm very aware of that. But I don't need to keep it in my mind and my subconscious 24/7. So, that being said, I was very vegan. I would go to a restaurant and be like, is this vegan? But does it have butter? Or do you cook it in the same pan of this other thing? Could you imagine that? Probably, I'm pretty sure the waitress or the waiters were like, oh, here we go again. This girl comes again saying but can you clean your fork? In a pizza place, can you cut it with one that is clean? Because I watched this guy once cutting my pizza after having cut somebody else's that had tons of meat and cheese, and I'm like, no, I'm not eating this. Which part of me understands it, but part of me is that's intense, man. That's intense. But like I said, I was very vegan, and even if somebody will mess up and put some kind of non-plant-based thing on my plate, I'd be like, no, I cannot touch this. So like, please send it back, send me something else. And I imagine the stress not only in my system, but in the other people's systems that I'm saying all these things to, because I'm sure the life of a waiter and a waitress, like their actual work life, is not easy dealing with those kinds of things. And I remember just once catching myself judging my ex-partner, Matt. We were in downtown Las Vegas getting hot dogs. And of course, I was getting a vegan hot dog. And he was going to get a real hot dog. No big deal, It's not like he was vegan. So I was like, are you going to get a meat hot dog? And he's like, are you judging me right now? Oh, yeah, I was. Which, like, judgments, I don't do judgments, and this is like another thing. I had so many friends that said they don't really like vegans because they're so pushy and they judge you. And that's the one thing I didn't want to do. Not really. I didn't want to do because I knew what it felt like to eat meat your entire life. And enjoyed it. I enjoyed it most of the time. I did. My favorite meats or like non-plant-based things was seafood. I grew up right by the ocean and it was super fresh all the time. But it was very intense. It was very intense. And like I said, I didn't realize the stress that I was putting my system under. Because I was like, no, I must be vegan to the core. Like, vegan, if it's not vegan, get it out of my sight. So, last year, 2018, we were holding this inner dance immersion that if you have no idea what inner dance is, I fully recommend it if this resonates with you, like if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't. It's just a Kundalini activation, Kundalini energy activation. So we were holding this inner dance immersion at my parents' house last year, and my dearest friend Serena was leading the immersion. I remember we were sitting on in my parents' kitchen. We're just having a small meal, which we call a lonche. Normally, it tends to be the meal before dinner, but sometimes we have that and we don't even have dinner, which I really like because it's something small. I don't really like eating too much things at night. So we're just sitting, chilling, talking to my parents. It was like Serena, my boyfriend, and my parents, And my dad likes to joke around. He still jokes to me about like, oh, just have a little steak. Or like, oh, you're veggies, you don't really eat, or that's not real food. And it used to piss me off so much. Oops. It used to piss me off so much. And then I just got used to it, because that's how he is. This is his sense of humor. Whether he understands why I eat how I eat, or he doesn't, I don't care, because it's my life and it makes me happy. But we were just talking about different kinds of consciousness things. And then my parents had bought this pineapple upside down cake, which used to be my favorite growing up. There was this lady right behind the house in Lima that made the best. I have to recreate this plant-based style. So, of course, they asked me, do you want some? And I said no, because I knew it had eggs. I knew it had probably butter. I don't know. I was like, no, it's not vegan, no. So, I think Derek got some. And then Serena was like, no. And my dad was like, are you sure it's really good? And she's like, okay. Now, this is when my little antennas went like, bloop, because I know how Serena eats. And if you have read the blog, this is in the blog, I know how she eats, She eats mostly raw foods and fruits and juice. She barely eats gluten, doesn't eat eggs, doesn't eat butter, pretty much what you call like a vegan, mostly, like I said, raw vegan. So I was like, whoa, Not only did she get one piece, she got two pieces because my dad gave her the first piece. And she's like, wait, this doesn't have any pineapple. Let me put another piece in here. And she's like, okay. But she ate it and enjoyed it. And I saw my dad's face like, whoa, this girl is cool. And then I was just very in awe. Very, very. Then after all that, I was just thinking how, because this is something me and Serena talk about, and a lot of the inner dances do too, about codes, breaking codes and thought patterns and whatever. So I started to think about this code, this vegan code, and I saw how strong it was in my system. How I will just refuse anything if it had something that was animal based. And not just as in like, no, I don't want it. It's like, ew, take that out of my sight. That's horrible. That is just like a sin. No. As in like saying like, that's shit. That's shit and that shouldn't be around. And this is good. This is good because this is a vegan. That's awful. But in reality, and again, mind me, because this is my perception. In reality, everything is great. Everything is good. So when we start to say, this is bad, this is good, we're literally throwing a slap on the face on the creator saying like, dude, you created shit, okay? You created shit, and then you also created this awesome thing. Why did you do this? And so I don't really like to slap my creator in the face. I love to hug my creator and say how much I love him or her or neutral. So I was observing my system, and this happened for a few weeks because after that we're moving to Colombia. This is where we are. We're moving to Colombia, finding a place, and I was really observing my system, as in like, okay, let me see how you react about all these vegan things. And it wasn't just a small reaction. It was something in my gut like, ooh, ew, this is not vegan. Ew, this is bad. Why are you eating that food? Oh, ugh. This is something I don't like to have. Like I said, this is something I don't like to have because everything in creation is beyond perfect. Everything has its purpose. There's a reason why the creator created all these things. Because it's not that as human beings we created to eat meat, you know what I mean? So like the thought was put into somebody's head to start eating that for a purpose, for a specific purpose, whether it was to take us down the hill or go up in consciousness, whatever it was. It had a purpose, it has a purpose. And then I found myself, we find ourselves taking a retreat, an ayahuasca retreat. Look how cute my cup is. This is when things just went like, pfft. So allow me to share this with you. And again, please keep your mind open. So we had already gone through a journey with Mami Aya. But this was the first time that we were actually doing a retreat. We heard awesome things about it. A friend of mine totally recommended right when we had set up, like, yes, we're doing this. He messaged me saying like, hey, you're in Medellin, take this. And then we met up with one of the facilitators and he was just beyond awesome. Fully trusted him, both of us. So we arrived the first night and we were told to arrive by a specific time. We were going to have dinner in like the opening circle and just to get to know each other. Luckily, there were not a lot of people. Maybe there were 12 of us or something. So it was a small group and we could actually talk to one another and open a bigger space for each other. And it was time to have dinner. I get my little bowl. It's a soup that has tons of veggies, and there is this yellow thing floating around. Oh, what in the world is this? It was egg. I literally, like I was saying, I was catching my mind and my system, the reactions of it about whether something was vegan or not. My mind freaked the fuck out. And I was trying to calm myself down because I was watching it everywhere. So my mind was like, I cannot possibly eat this. And then the other part is like, yes, you can. And I'm like, no, this has an egg. Like, I just cannot touch this. And I'm like looking around and seeing everybody, like everybody's totally enjoying it. I'm like, am I the only freaking the fuck out? Yes, I'm not the only one freaking the fuck out. And I'm like kind of just, I was just so inside like this, and like trying to move the spoon around, separating the egg, like totally looking towards some more because I needed some kind of like, you got this. And I was like, okay, this is just food. It's okay. You got this. This is just food. It's okay. And I started to eat the soup, but not really wanting to touch the part of the egg because, you know, that was bad. It's so bad because it's not vegan. It's so bad. And then I started eating it. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can have a little bit of this egg. I'm sure it was made with love. I tried a little bit. It almost made me gag. And so I just kind of separated and didn't even finish it all because my mind was in this constant race of, what the fuck are you doing? This is not vegan. It's contaminated. It's gross. Send it back. Have them make you some new thing. And I'm like, how am I going to start this 5-day retreat saying like, dude, you get me some fucking egg. And I don't eat those things. No. I still respect these people very much so, because there are a plant medicine family, you know, and I resonate so much with them. So I put it aside. I'm gonna put it aside. During the first journey, if I'm not mistaken, Mami Aya talked about this. Because I went through this beautiful thing and then it went into the vegan code. And she literally said to me, and I quote, because I wrote this on my little journal, "It is not what you eat that matters, but how it was cooked. Is it cooked with love? From which space is the idea of feeding someone coming from?" And you know, for all of you that have gone through a journey, when you get such an awareness, you're kind of like, because it's not that she was like talking like, this is bad, stay away from that. It was from such a deep space of unconditional love. And it blew my mind, it blew my system. And I started thinking about my plant medicine family and seeing them, because you get to know someone when they are facilitating a ceremony and not only going through their journey themselves, but also taking care of you. You get to know someone and everybody that is part of this journey, because everybody's co-creating this journey together. And it's like the images of their faces popped into my head, and like saw the deep unconditional love that they have for every single person that has been part of like one of their journeys with them, and for humanity as a whole. And there was nothing in their systems that could ever make something, as in cooking wise, you know, with hate. It was all from such a deep love, and so grateful to nature for giving us these things to put into our systems, to feed our temples. So I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely can understand, you know, but definitely can understand this. And of course, it kind of did not just go like this. Of course, it clicked. But then it was a process of totally trying to get off that mentality that something is bad because it has this label, and something is good because it has the other label. And then, you know, me and Amor were doing this global sadhana meditation, which was beautiful, long, because I'm pretty sure this one was like the 62 minutes that we were doing. And during one of this, I went into a trance and I got more information about this, which at the same time, it still blew my mind. So, awareness of this code came through a little bit more. And he said, again, keep your mind open because it's a little funky if you consider yourself a vegan or plant-based. But if your jaw drops, that's how my jaw dropped too when I got this awareness. So it said if animal farming and animal killing did not exist, would the vegan code even be here? And I'm just going to read you what I wrote on the blog. So please hear me out, because just like you might feel at this moment, I share that feeling when I heard the message. The fact that the world reached a point where animals are just being farmed and killed to feed most humans in this planet, in a sense, gave birth to this code. In a sense, it helped people wake up. Why, might you ask? First, for seeing how unfair it is for animals. Yes, it is unfair. I completely agree with it. Imagine a world with things reversed. A world where animals farm humans to eat them because why not? They gotta eat, no? So at seeing this unfairness, and even perhaps the look in their eyes as they are in a cage, knowing that they're about to be killed, shifted something within some people's systems. This is something impactful, especially when someone feels so much. Now, if the farming hadn't existed, will the vegan code be so prominent? Perhaps, perhaps not. Perhaps it wouldn't even exist. Perhaps it would be the norm, and it is not even a label. It would just be the normality. So in a sense, without this massacre of animals, most people that label themselves as vegan wouldn't have woken up to the potential within them. This doesn't mean that eating the way they choose to eat is the only right way. Yes, in their system it is, not in everybody is. This is very important to remember. Perhaps the path of the ones who farm animals is to do exactly what they're doing to bring forth this revolution and evolution within some. When we look at this from this perspective, in a way, that must be think. And I know this sounds so incredibly messed up, but truly, for people that change their lifestyle because they realize upon their research of how unfair human beings were being to animals and all this animal farming and just killing them, if that hadn't existed, where would your consciousness level be at this moment? Like all these things were coming from. Yes, my kernel thought was somewhere else, but it is here for a reason. And like how the message says, if the people that farm animals and the big corporations that do this, to feed other human beings, that perhaps in a sense is the purpose, is the purpose to be so unfair to a specific race, because that's what they are, a specific race and beings, so others in their system can wake up this beautiful potential they have inside of them. I have so many friends that were animal eaters, and now they're beautiful beings creating this change in consciousness and plant-based and doing all these beautiful things for humanity and for themselves and for animals. But that's what changed in them. This animal farming, being aware of that, changed something in their DNA, in their codes, in order to create that change that was needed in their systems to reach a different kind of consciousness. So I know, like I said, it sounds kind of funky, but in my system, it makes absolute sense. It really does. Even though after that message, I was like, yeah. So this is what I wanted to share. And nowadays I spend the holidays with my boyfriend's family, and I made it. His mom helped me. His mom taught me how to make cinnamon rolls that were not vegan. They were not vegan, but I cooked them with love with her, and I tried one, and it was delicious. And she was even surprised, and there's many little treats that I make just for the Christmas part of the year, the holidays, that it's a family tradition. And years ago, I would have said, fuck no, I'm not putting that in my system. But I see how much love she puts in it. And I will gladly try it, even if it's just once, let me try your family tradition. Because I am family too. And I'm not going to put myself aside because of one specific label. So this doesn't mean I eat animals at all. My favorite things to eat is guacamole with raw veggies, juice. I love making juice and smoothies. But if I see something that I want to try, that my system's like, ooh, that sounds exciting, can we try it? I will give it a shot. So I don't label myself anymore as vegan. I'm not even plant-based. I am who I am, and period. And if people don't agree, I agree to disagree. You do what you do, I do what I do, and then we're both happy. That's all that matters to me. There's that common respect, And this is how I choose to live my life, because it was so controlling. This label was so controlling. And like I said, it was putting so much pressure on my system. And not only my system, but in the systems of people that were around me. Like with Matt, I'm sure I put so much pressure on him, perhaps even at the beginning of the relationship with Amor and with my family. So nowadays, like I said, I am who I am, and that's it, all I can do is continue to do the work that I do for others and for myself, for the better of humanity, spread awareness, and keep breaking these codes. Keep breaking these codes and these limited belief systems in my system, because I don't want to be controlled. And I realize how controlled we were, because we are born into a society that's the norm, so that's normality. People don't think anything about it. It's normal. But the moment I got awareness into that, it's like, no, you're not controlling me. I'm in control. And I allow divinity to do its work through me for others. That's what I do. So I also want to remind ourselves, because I'm reading this book, well, this is in Spanish. It's La Maestría del Amor, which is, if I'm not mistaken in English, is Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Because, when we label ourselves as this or that, and then we meet someone that doesn't go into our labels, we become judgmental, I said, like I was, at one specific moment in time when the vegan code was fully activated in my system. He's not vegan. Oh. I didn't do it a lot because I have some of my best friends are not vegan, literally. I have a couple very good friends that are vegan, but most of them are not. And I accept them, I love them because it's them. And if they want to experience life like that, go ahead, experience life like that. So there's the last part of this book that is prayers in a sense. But I love this part that says, I'll read it in Spanish and then I'll translate it in English. Because like I was saying, when we put labels, and then somebody is not in that label, in the label that we put ourselves in, then we can become judgmental. And when we judge others, this is what it says. Ayúdanos a aceptar a los demás como son sin juicios, porque cuando los rechazamos, nos rechazamos a nosotros mismos, y cuando nos rechazamos a nosotros mismos, te rechazamos a ti. This is a prayer for the Creator. So it says, please help us to accept everybody else how they are without judgments. Because when we judge them, we are judging ourselves. And when we are judging ourselves, we are pushing you away. And it's true. It's true. Listen, this is not me telling you, like, quit being vegan or quit putting all these labels on your system. It's your system, and you know what's best for you. What I'm inviting you to do is that accept people how they are. And there's a reason why things are how they are on planet Earth. And some things we might see it as like they're horrible. Some things we might see it as they're awesome. In reality, they're just how they are, and they're beautiful. They're serving their purpose. But let's live life accepting others how they are without judgments. Because everybody's going through their journey. Everybody's going through shit at times. And what if, like, by you putting these tiny little judgments because of the way they eat, just crashes their entire existence and they kill themselves? I know this is really out there, but it could happen. It could happen. I was super duper depressed at one moment in my life. And if one little thing, one little comment just took me down the hill even further, I was suicidal, and I will have all these thoughts of like, oh shit, do it. So this is what I'm saying. Accept people how they are, because they're also here for a reason. They're also experiencing their reality in their own way, and they're helping others as well, in a different way that you're doing it. Perhaps in a very similar way, but wait. Let's just accept each other and live a full life of awareness with so much unconditional love, acceptance, and also respect. So, at this moment of the podcast, I invite you, if you will, to continue. I will channel an activation in a light language to accept each other and to release any judgments. Because like in the book, like when he said, when I'm judging someone, I'm judging myself. When I'm judging myself, I'm judging the Creator. And I'm not accepting the Creator, I'm just telling you're crap. And that's not true. That's not true. So I invite you, if you will, to stay with me, to sit up on a chair, or if it's more comfortable for you, on the floor, meditation cushion or anything like that. You might not understand what comes through me, and that's okay. It's a very high vibrational language that it will resonate in your true essence. It might take a little time for your current awareness to understand, and that's completely okay. But it's working in the higher realms of consciousness. So I invite you to close your eyes and start to connect with your breath. So allow your belly to expand. Just relax every muscles of the belly, especially your diaphragm as well. Close your eyes, relax the muscles of your face.